Hey everybody, I hope you guys are having a very nice time with your Nikon Z8s. Um, Today we want to talk about. I wanted to kind of speak to you about my experiences with the Nikon Z8 right here, right here. This is the Z8 that I've been using, and I still feel that it's one of the best cameras that I have used so far. Fits perfectly in my hand, and that's one of the reasons I keep on harping on this. You see how my little finger right there doesn't fall off? It does with other cameras. Um, that's why. And I stayed back with the Z8. Now, the conversation that I'd like to do with you is about the top five features within this Nikon that are absolutely fantastic and keeps me holding on to this camera. Now, I came from Sony, and Sony is an amazing camera as well. I still have my Sony A7C, which is a fantastic camera. But again, it doesn't have those features, and I'm going to talk to you about those features as well as I compare the top five features from the Nikon Z8. So again, coming up, the top five features of the Nikon Z8 that I consider class leading and what differentiates this camera from anything else, any other camera in the market right now at this price point. First one, the first one is the sensor shield. Now, I don't think any camera has a sensor shield so far, at least the ones that I used. The Nikon Z8 has a sensor shield that actually takes a lot of my headache, a lot of my concern away whenever I'm changing lenses when I'm in the field. In the past, what used to happen is if I had a photo shoot in a park or if I had a photo shoot in an event, I mean, there's a lot of dust out there. And sensors, the wafer technology is so dust friendly that you will end up accumulating dust on your sensor. The sensor shield on the Nikon Z8 and of course the Z9 is such a fantastic technology that it takes the concern away from my mind when I'm changing my lenses. But the way I've configured it is I've set up the sensor shield to come down and protect the sensor the moment I switch off the camera. I switch off my camera, change my lenses, put my new lens on, and that's about it. I have stopped worrying about my lens getting dirty. That's how effective this design is. So kudos to Nikon for making this. I think the sensor shield is one of the best um, practical feature sets on this camera. Now, the second thing that really keeps me attracted to this camera is the handling. I think I told you, right? It doesn't feel like a D850. The D850 used to be a heavy camera. I had my D850 for 2 to 3 years and I enjoyed it. I liked it, but uh, it was a heavy camera, heavier than this. My favorite camera from the Nikon stable was the D750, and this feels like the D750. A deep grip, perfect size, perfect weight, fantastic. And that was my favorite camera. And this form fit comes very close to the D750. The only difference is that this camera is the best hybrid camera, and that brings me to the next topic of the best hybrid camera in the market. I don't think Canon is better. I don't think Sony is better than this. If you look at the hybrid features, photography features, they are top of the line. You get a 45 megapixel stacked sensor. I'm hoping you understand what a stacked sensor does, right? A stack sensor basically has multiple layers of analytical logic across each of those stacks of the sensors. So one stack would track the highlights, the other stack would track the coloring, the other stack would track the autofocus. So you're not doing all of these functions on on one layer. You're actually distributing all of these functions into multiple layers, which makes the processing much faster, and that's why you can reach the frame rates that this camera reaches. So a stack sensor is way, way, way advanced technology, um, and it's more expensive. So at the price this camera sells for a stack sensor is competing very well in the market. It's pushing its competition very nicely. I don't think there is a stack sensor from any of the competitors at this price range. So again, that stack sensor, again, being a hybrid camera, what it does is it brings together the best of photography and the best of videography. And I am noticing that. So when I'm in the field photographing a party, and if I have to change to a video, with the flick of a switch, I change to the video. And I have more confidence on the autofocus, AFF autofocus full time, tracking the video much more accurately. I don't think I had that in a Nikon earlier. Uh, Now, if you start looking at the other feature sets, like um, what was I going to talk about? Other feature sets like photography. So I know the autofocus is amazing in photography, and the moment I change it to video, I know the autofocus is good in video. The feature sets that it gives from a video standpoint, the feature set that it brings from a photography standpoint are top notch. That's why I believe that as of today, the Z8 is the best hybrid camera for the price range. Actually, it is the best hybrid camera that you can get today. Best hybrid camera. That's one of the big features. That's the third feature that I think are among the top 5 features of Nikon. When it comes to the fourth feature, and I use this quite a bit, it's the recall function. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are using the recall function. I use it a lot. As an example, very recently when I was photographing a family function, and there were kids all around playing around me, and we were invited there as well. So I was photographing, and I was in aperture priority, right? And I was photographing the parents and the kids cutting the cake, and all of a sudden, one of the parents said, "Hey, look, the kids are running towards the cake. The kids are running towards, coming off the park, running towards the cake cutting ceremony. You should take a picture of that." Guess what? I can't take that with an aperture priority in the evening light. So what I did was I automatically pressed my F2 button. That's the button that I've set up for my recall function, and I changed it to shutter priority at 1250 shutter speed. I think, and I had an ISO of 2500 or maybe 4000. Not sure about that. I can tell you that later on. But with the right ISO, I was able to capture that the kids coming in at that speed. And with a flick of a button, I moved from aperture priority to shutter priority, and then back to aperture priority, videotaping or photographing the ceremony. So those kind of feature sets are amazing. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to use that. What I also end up doing is when I move to, so I've set it up in 4 different modes. The first one is the portrait mode. So if I'm in portrait mode, which is what I use from an aperture priority standpoint, if I move from the portrait mode to the shutter priority mode, and if I'm doing sports, I know kids who play badminton quite a bit, and badminton is an indoor sport, fastest racket sport in the world, and I have to shoot the badminton players in shutter speed with the shutter priority, right? Usually 1250, 1250 gets it done. But if I have to move into aperture priority because indoors I need more light, and if I have to move to aperture priority, say 1.8, because there is a player standing that I want to take a picture of him in aperture priority, I can do that with a flick of a button. That is a fantastic feature set on the Z8. I think I have not seen that feature in any camera so far that can be used so easily and yet become so effective. The last feature set that I like with this camera is again the pre-release capture. It's like capturing time, and I use this a lot. Not as much as the recall functions, but I use the pre-release capture quite a bit. Here is what it does. You're waiting for a player to hit a shot, right? I mean, with the racket, he's hitting the shuttle, and I am waiting for that right shot with the right body framing, right, and making sure that the player faces me when he shoots, so that I can give a good picture, right? And that doesn't happen all the time. So we get allocated certain seats in the stadium, and I can't keep moving around because parents will start yelling at me. So I try to pick up one of the best seats, and I try to wait for the players to turn towards me when I start shooting pictures. And I want those pictures in action mode. So with the pre-release capture, what it does is it allows me to capture. I use 1 second. I know it's going. I know it has gone up to 15 seconds, 15 minutes, I believe. But I use 1 second, which is enough for me. And if the shot is good, I press the shutter and I take the shot. The benefit with the pre-release capture is that before I press the shutter completely, it's actually capturing all the images. So I am really not missing the shot. I am really capturing the flow, and it's extremely helpful for me. The reason it's helpful for me is because with badminton being such a fast sport, it's very easy to miss the good shots. It's very easy to miss those specific body positions. Being such a fast game, it's impossible to capture the player in that position. So pre-release capture is very handy. I think those 5 features make the best out of this camera. I am enjoying it. I'm hoping you are enjoying it as well. I'm gonna add a few pictures right after this. Enjoy the pictures that I took. Uh, Again, going through the five things that I really like in this camera. Sensor shield being the first one. Handling, grip, feel of the camera. Again, it's all about getting the right feel, which I didn't get in the Sony. The Sony had such a small grip that it was difficult to hold. I used to hang it on my neck. I didn't like to hold it. But Sony are good cameras. It's just that I had a complaint with the feel for the camera. So again, handling is the number 2 thing that I really like in this camera. The third one is, I think the Nikon Z8 is the best hybrid camera in the market today. No comparisons. Finally, it's the recall functions. I'm pretty sure you're using it if you have the camera. If not, go use it, learn how to use it. It's fantastic. And the final thing is the pre-release capture. They are very practical features. They are not a feature that kind of enhances the spec sheet. They are very practical, on the ground, to be used features which you will like. So go ahead and start using those features if you haven't. And if you want to buy this camera, I highly recommend that you go ahead and buy it. I also think that it's one of the best sports cameras out there in the market with the right lenses. The 400 4.5 is the best lens for sports. Go with that. For sports photography. I use the 200 to 500 5.6, but I'm okay with it. If you want to go buy a new lens, go buy the 4.5 400 4.5 lens. That's a fantastic sports lens. And the reason I say it's a very good sports camera is because the frames per second are too well equipped to not for you to not miss any of those shots. And again, there might be some people who might say that 120 frames per second is how much? 11 megapixels JPEG. I mean, people who are spec sheet warriors, right? They might think that it's not a good feature set. People who don't shoot that often, they might think that it's not good, but I can assure you that 11 megapixel is plenty. I have a 4K OLED TV that is 8 megapixels. So I guess that, and that's a high-end TV, and it's OLED TV, LG OLED TV. So that should give you an idea of how companies trick you with those megapixel numbers. So again, 11 megapixels is plenty. And one of the big things that this camera does, which I don't think any other competitor does, they don't tell you. I don't know why they don't tell you, is that they lock. So you know what happens, right? When you start shooting in high frame rates, What most of the cameras do is that they will allow you full autofocus, but they will lock the exposure on the first frame. Guess what? Nikon does not do that. It allows you to do full autofocus with full auto exposure, and it captures all the changes of the exposure. Now, for indoor sports like basketball or for indoor sports like badminton, where the lighting might change as the player moves across the court, meaning the indoor lighting, right? So it can change. A full autofocus and a full auto exposure control is extremely important, and other cameras don't give you. They give you the app, and I don't think they talk about it. So that's one of the big reasons why the Z8 is one of the best sports cameras that I've seen. When you're shooting something in outdoor sun, exposure can be locked, yeah, because it doesn't change that much unless a cloud comes in and covers the sun. But you would know that. Internally, indoor, with all the electronic lighting, it's it is a fact that light from one area of the stadium to the other area of the stadium is going to change, and I face that quite a bit with basketball or with badminton. So it helps me a lot. Okay, guys, I'm going to add a few pictures towards the end. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Before I let you go, I'm going to make another video, talk to you about my favorite lenses, and for some reason I'm noticing that my top 5 favorite lenses, none of them are Z lenses. I don't know why. Maybe Sigma makes better lenses. Maybe Sony makes better lenses. Maybe Voigtlander makes better lenses. The one that I have on my camera right now, if you can see it, right here, is a Voigtlander 50mm f1.2, and it's this does not come with autofocus, but I have a Tech Art adapter over here that allows it to autofocus, and I don't have any complaints. With video, you might have some issues because it makes some noise. The autofocus adapter makes some noise, but with photography at f1.2, there is no complaints. I don't see a reason of going and buying that 81.2 or 51.2 lens, which is way more expensive. I would rather stick to this one, and this lens form, fit, and function feels so nice, so connected to. Feels like it was made for the Nikon Z8. Anyway, guys, it's been a long video, but I enjoyed speaking with you. Next video, I'm going to talk about my experience with the autofocus adapters, and my experience with my favorite lenses. So, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Let's catch up in the next video.